then we started improving these tools and improving in how can we work as we are now, in a telepresential, non-local, because since we are beyond time and space, we must know how to work. And it's super interesting because the two groups we had last year, we had 100-something people in each of them from 39 different cities.
Oh.
And they created new initiatives, and were created between people that are living in different cities.
Oh, nice.
So they have businesses together and they live in different cities. It's super interesting.
Wow.
Because we have this many tools on how to co-create, collaborate, and learn and work in a remote way.
Wonderful. Okay, and so, you know, my book is about caring for the commons. Who's caring for the commons? How do you think Fluxonomy could be used for caring for the commons initiatives?
Well, it was designed for this purpose, exactly for this purpose. Because carrying this transition is a transition in this direction, where, as we notice that we, the planet, time, bodies, nature, none of those things are exponential. We must take care of them, and we are connected. No, in the web we are interdependent and connected. And the idea we had in the 20th century that one could be well separately from the rest, this is impossible. We are connected. Either we are old in something that is good for everyone or not. And so these two allow us, for instance, to, as I worked a lot in African or Latin countries where resources are lacking, we need to know what kind of resource we have, that it's not money. And there are resources always.
The intangibles.
There's time, there's knowledge, there are values that can keep people together. For instance, my daughter lived in Japan for a while. Japan is very small and very poor, actually, but it's not poor because of the resources, the non-tangible resources it has. So people work together a lot, and they have a lot of trust in each other, in the future, in institutions, and this trust is the basis of the economy. In Brazil, for instance, we have a huge Japanese population. If you are to choose to do something with a Japanese or non-Japanese, you choose a Japanese because you can trust. So this is an intangible asset that brings very tangible results, I mean. And this is one of the things that we do in Fluxonomy. Another is very important, is how can we value things that are not only quantitative money, and because this is the point, no? The point in the commons is that we must know that the wealth, it's not monetary wealth, but it's wealth in everything that is related to the culture, in value, well-being, knowledge, creativity, is wealth in everything that is related to the tangible support, the environment, the technological structure, all the infrastructures, health, the value of everything that is related to society and how can it organize itself. And so we developed ways of valuing this, because GDP, for instance, is a nonsense. Because what it's able to measure, it's not what really matters. And so we must be able to see, work with, circulate, evaluate, and this is the goal of the Fluxonomy.
Okay, okay. And one of the things that I love about your work is the distinction between the tangibles and the intangibles, because really there's very little that leverages the intangibles in our current economy. It's always considered, you know, something for charity or for, you know, volunteer work, but there's so much value in the intangibles.
Actually, the biggest values are in the intangibles.
Mm-hmm.
That is why they remain invisible, because when we can see them, then everything is upside down. Then the notion of wealth and changes, and this is a big change.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is why we need lenses. It's really lenses,
Mm-hmm.
because that allow us to see what is not material. And you know that because you probably behind your book, it's the fact that you wear lenses that can see in 4 dimensions, that see simultaneously all aspects of society, the cultural, the environmental, the social, and the financial, and not things isolated.
Mm-hmm.
And of course we must see the intangible also, because the intangible is process, and process is everything. It's useless to make a product if you don't have the process to put it in the flow. We can produce whatever, but then how will we communicate, distribute value, etc.? And all of those things are intangibles, are processes. It's not the thing, it's the process behind the thing. And it is through this flow we can see this very clearly. When we change from one dimension to the other, is then that value is generated.
Okay. When you
And we can see this. It's for us is like seeing a flow of water. We can see the flow of resources, how a knowledge gains exponential value when it acquires a material support. Like my knowledge becomes a book, and the book reaches people, and people organize themselves and do things, and things they do change the world, and so on. And we can see the flow, and how in each time it changes from one dimension to the other, value is generated in an exponential way.
Okay. And when you say from one dimension to the other, can you just explain a little bit for people who aren't familiar with that concept?
Yeah,
Dimension.
I'll show you a picture, can I?
Okay, sure.
And then maybe we can do, for those who want to follow us, we can go to another video. And in this new video, I can explain.
More detail. Okay, that
Yeah,
would be wonderful. Yes. So this will be just like an overview of the,
yeah.
okay, great.
Okay, so this is a little bit, um, this is the flow I was telling you.
Okay.
And so in the center, we work with the perception that everything is changing. And so we need a new vision of the future. Then those 4 dimensions: cultural, which is related to creative economy; environmental, which is related to, um, let me, up. So
Sharing economy.
yeah, the sharing economy.
Mm-hmm.
And the social, which is related to collaborative economy, related to management.
Mm-hmm.
And the financial, please note that we call it financial, because we consider that economy is the whole set, the combination of the 4 dimensions. So the real economy is the flow of resources of 4 different natures: cultural, environmental, social, and financial, generating results in 4 different dimensions.
Mm-hmm.
And but the thing is that we must work, everything is there in the web. You can find everything, it's available, but it's not accessible. And in order that to have access to all these resources and possibilities, we need community. We need to be together. We need to collaborate. In Brazil, we have an example of this, which is Carnival, because Carnival is amazing. For those of you who have ever seen uh, on television or something, is huge. It's millions of people and doing amazing things, very complicated in technology and very beautiful. And it's trucks 30 meters high with very sophisticated mechanisms, and everything is done by poor people, but they collaborate because then they are communities, and so they can do the impossible. Because when we have a community and when we have the tools, we can do impossible things that seem to be impossible but actually are not. Because we can connect all the resources we have. And so the key of the future is community. And we work in 4 pillars. We work in programs, in educational programs, in advisor, a whole set of tools for consultancy, and as how can we be advisors for those who are promoting change. Then prototypation of processes, because there's a lot of tools to prototype new products, but not many tools to prototype processes, and that is what we do. And we have a community, a reciprocal community, people who already wear those lenses and are aware of their resources in 4 dimensions and can exchange and collaborate, as you did in your book with the Brazilian Patty, Patricia Pittencourt.
Okay. Okay, that's a great explanation. Okay, so now we're going to, I think we can end this video here, and then we can give the more in-depth explanation for anybody who chooses to learn a little bit more about fluxonomy. So thank you very much, Lala.
My pleasure. Okay. And I think some of the TED Talks I did might be in English, so they can also be a source for those who want to study.
Okay.
We have the plan, and we need to expand this in Spanish language and in English, but little by little we are going to do it.
Okay, great. Thank you, Lala.
I thank you, and congratulations for your work.
Okay, thank you.